So thanks for being here on this really hot day in this room. I'd like to start off with my personal story about why I got started here. So 15 years ago, my aunt died of type 2 diabetes. And during that time, it was excruciatingly painful for all of us because it was really horrific. It was in the bad ways that it can go. But the good thing that came out of it was that our family completely changed that way that we actually live our lives. We changed our diet. We actually did a baseline measurement of where our health is with blood tests. And we lost 120 pounds collectively as a family within the next 6 months. And our blood test came back after that time as being from in the dangerous range to healthy range. My parents still maintain that today. I became a personal trainer and a holistic health coach, and now a behavioral scientist as a result of that process to start this company today. We're living in a really interesting time. So keep your hands up in the audience. How many of you guys have Apple Watches and Fitbits or other wearable devices, done a genetics test? It's actually quite a number of you. And it's because our watches now tell us way more than just time. It actually gives us insights. But despite this amazing advancement, we still have 40 million people die from non-communicable diseases like cancer and diabetes today. And that's just not right. And part of that contribution is due to nutrient deficiency. 9 out of 10 people are deficient, even in developed countries, and it's clinically linked to chronic diseases like cancer and heart disease. And quality supplementation actually has been shown to be effective to changing the game. And people think that you can just eat your way out of it, right? You should just eat well, and you should absolutely eat well in a whole diet. But do you eat a full bag of spinach every day to meet your B vitamin needs? It's hard to do. Yeah, one member in the audience, always on the greens. But yeah, the majority of us just can't. We don't think about it all the time. But also, there's something dangerous that's been happening. So Nature is one of the top publications in science, and they did a systematic review to see how the crop levels are doing globally. And it's been reducing in nutritious value due to rising CO2 levels in the atmosphere by 8%, and it's rapidly declining. So this is going to be an ongoing problem for us, and we need to look at alternative solutions. On top of that, the Harvard Public Health study has been shown that for optimizing your health, nutrition is actually the foundation of it. And people ask me sometimes, oh, well, what about other, when you're doing a genetics test? Well, for predisposition to disease, it's only 30% of the whole picture. 70% is actually lifestyle and behavior-related changes. So how we see it in terms of managing your health is threefold. First, you have to have the data that drives the insights and then spurs the action or recommendations that you need to do to have a healthy life. And it's easier than ever before to have data at our hands. Technology is truly enabling a brand new way to collect health data. So biosensors, you're wearing a lot of them today in the audience, are being sewn into clothing, into our watches, into patches on our arms, and soon probably embedded. And a lot of people are doing all of those things to actually show us what kind of condition that we're in on an ongoing basis. So from previously old data age, when you have blood pressure monitors at the hospital that are clunky and terrible to use, you now have something at home that safely measures your blood pressure on an ongoing basis and then alerts your physician. For diabetics, really painful to be constantly pricking your fingers at home to test your glucose levels. And there's been a recent biosensor upgrade that's happened this year where we can measure the glucose levels in your tears and sweat, which means maybe it's going to be embedded in your contact lenses or into your watch in the future. And this is important because consumers are really demanding it. We see that everything from WebMD, which was the start of everything, is now being converted to wearables and genetic services. And consumption is increasing rapidly from that to more ongoing data collection. And it's because it drives new insights. So, I don't know if you've seen this, but this man found something very odd in his Fitbit heart rate data. In fact, it wasn't his data, it was his wife's Fitbit data. He said that she's been in the fat-burning zone for 10 hours when she did nothing. They did the same things all day. They laid around. And then he didn't know how to interpret this data, so he posted it on Reddit and said, hey, guys, what's going on? What do you think is happening? And someone posted in the community that your wife is either extremely stressed out or maybe she's pregnant. And lo and behold, they went and did a test, and it turns out that they're actually pregnant. So such discoveries are now happening because of one, these devices making it possible, but two, the collaboration within a community of people sharing that information on an active basis. And it's because that the cost of these devices and technologies have been coming down faster than at Moore's Law. One of the things is that this genetic test 23andMe or other types of genetic testings has come down from $1 billion to now $1,000 for a full genome sequence. And it's going to continue going down in price. And because of this, there is an increasing trend where people can and want to take health into their own hands. So today, more than ever before, people want to actually be responsible for their own health. 51% of people said that in this 4,000-person survey, and actually 31% of those said that they also maintain their health on a regular basis and think about it. So we're living in a really good time. And companies have obviously been seizing this opportunity to cater to the need. It's obviously very saturated on the steps, heart rate, and sleep, but it's starting to go further into other areas. Everything from Proteus looking at drug adherence, swallowing your pills and measuring whether people are actually taking the pills or not, to sleep activity, and amongst others. And this is really beneficial because collecting this information actually means that we can have digital biomarkers that can help detect disease before it actually occurs. So imagine aggregating things like your steps data, your sleep, and even how you are posting your sentiments on Facebook to creating a unique signature, a baseline amongst other people, and how you sit above it, and to say whether you're at risk for any type of particular disease. So imagine being able to know before you become sick, to monitor something as simple as what you ate that day, how your blood glucose actually changes on an active basis, and will you gain weight from that glucose spike, and whether you will get diabetes, and potentially when you might die. But what we see from all of this data, though, and there's a gap in the market today, is that besides knowing your risk and all of these insights, what do you need to do from here? Like, how do you make that implementation easy? And that's why action is the most important component and one of the most difficult components of this whole picture. So as a behavioral scientist, I saw this gap. So data and insights are, the first step, but it's not the only thing that drives change. And like this photo demonstrates, when you think of athletes, you think they never cheat. You think they eat well. You think they have a regimented schedule, right? But pro athletes also gorge on chicken wings after a game or even during their game. And so let me demonstrate just another example from a behavioral science lens. So who in this audience thinks that strawberries taste the same as chocolate? Anybody? No, right? Well, Brian Wansink is a behavioral scientist, and he did a study. He gave 32 people in a blind test to say, how do you rate this strawberry yogurt from 1 to 10, how delicious it is as a strawberry yogurt? And they all got chocolate yogurt. So they tasted chocolate, and 19 of them said, that was an amazing, delicious strawberry yogurt. Another example, so did you know how influenceable you are by your surroundings? So 80% of people that are sitting close to a window were more likely to order a salad versus the 80% that were more likely to order a dessert in a cozy booth. So next time you go into a restaurant, maybe you should think about booth or window choices. And that's because there's a system of thinking. There's called System 2 and System 1 thinking, coined by Daniel Kahneman, one of the founding leaders of behavioral economics. He's also a Nobel laureate. When we think of how we make decisions, we think we're Spock. We think that we're rational, that we make conscious decisions in an orderly manner all the time. But in fact, most of the time, we make decisions as System 1, uncontrolled, really effortless. Does anyone know how many decisions are made on a daily basis on average? And take a wild guess in the audience. 200? 35,000 on average. Children typically make 3,000 decisions a day. But because of the number of decisions a day, the cognitive load just can't take making that much choice. And so when it comes to making something as a health choice, something you do really often, like drinking and eating, you typically default to something very easy, like the food stands that we might see just here. And over time, as we repeat our decisions, they become habitualized and difficult to change. And especially with food that actually has a response in our neurochemistry. So let's say you're busy and you're eating out, you're eating processed food that can be riddled in sugar. It actually has a physiological response where it lights the reward center of your brain to constantly eat that food over and over and over again. So how we see change actually occurring is not just data and insights, but you actually have to tie it to an actionable product. And that's why we chose to do a convenient, easy solution that doesn't that takes an existing habit and just makes it effortless to actually implement in your life. So I'm the CEO of Neutrogene, and we're aiming to actually fill this gap. So we take the insights and turn it into this product that you can actually drink. It's a multivitamin elixir, a liquid vitamin that you can ingest that's actually tailored to your health data. And we chose this space specifically because the supplement industry is completely broken. If you actually see the vitamins on the shelves, 95% of them are stale product. So 50% of supplements actually degrade within 6 months of being on shelves, which means what you're getting at home is stale product. Not only that, but they're not pure. So majority are actually sugar and filler that inhibits absorption. And on top of that, they're completely generic. So someone that actually is twice your size or a totally different ethnic background or genetic background is getting the same thing as you, which actually makes no sense. We know that already. So how we actually do this process is that our customers will do a quiz by uploading their data. We create a baseline data from their age, gender, etc. And then they also can upload their genetics data and other lab reports they've done. And then our algorithm actually identifies the version and dose of the supplement that's needed. So I actually found out through this process that I have a methylation mutation. I don't know if anyone else has done a genetics test to figure that out, but what that means is that my pathway for breaking down a B vitamin to a methylfolate or methyl B12 is broken. So if I take a folic acid supplement, or let's say a prenatal or anything, it actually stays in my body more as a toxin than something beneficial. So you need a different dose and version, and that's what we actually do. And we actually do this at scale using in-house robotic systems. So we migrated technology that's typically used in biotech to this particular space because we believe that you should get access to that as consumers. And over time, our goal is to actually now showcase the digital integration of a product by integrating different wearables, devices together, showing a dashboard that accompanies how we ingest your information, but also give you a product. And also, take that feedback, because your body's unique. We want to give you something dynamic that changes over time, because your body is totally different 2 years from now than it is today, and also in different geographies, etc. And how we see this space evolving is actually more companies like ours that are not just doing insights-driven platforms, but something that's based on action. So what our aim is to do is to move into the healthcare space by using our exact same setup that's used in supplementation that can be used in over-the-counter medicines. So imagine if your allergy medication is perfectly dosed so you don't get drowsy, or the right dose of painkillers are given to you so you don't end up with liver failure or other conditions. So I would like to leave you guys with a couple of my favorite quotes. One by Ralph Waldo Emerson, that the first health is truly wealth. Started this company because I truly believe that the foundation to you being able to thrive and being at your best is that this is here for you. So everyone, please take some time to look at your health routines today and see about also measuring your health baselines and what you would like to do to actually change it for the better. And if anyone has questions on technologies or what they can do, you can come and talk to me at any point after the presentation. Thank you. Great.